Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another What I'm Reading Right Now video here on the channel. It's been so long since I filmed anything, I forgot my own intro. Hi, welcome! This is the series where I talk about what I'm currently reading, what I have been reading, what I'm currently reading, and what I'm going to be reading next. The past, the present, and the future, it all makes sense. My brain is toffee right now. As you may have seen, I think I posted it on my Discord, probably. This video was meant to be last week. This week was meant to be my off week, but last week I needed my off week early because I have been at a LARP, live action roleplay, for the whole weekend, and before that I was preparing for that, and my office is filled with tiny scraps of fabric and bamboo rods from various crafting of props and things. My sewing machine has never been more used. It has been an intense time, and then the actual event, which went very, very well, was very tiring. No time for stopping to do anything, no stopping for reading, no stopping for anything. So, in the last 2 weeks, in fact 2 and a bit weeks since last time we spoke, I've read 4 things. One of them was not very many pages. We're treating this video as kind of a project reset. I am getting my brain back in gear, I am assessing where I'm at, where I need to be. Everything is going to be fine by the end of filming this video. Is that too lofty of an ambition? Maybe, but let's go for it anyway. Let's start with what I have read. The very first thing that I finished since last time we spoke was Doombringer. This is the second book in the Cade saga, Edge Chronicles. The project is nearly done. The project should be done by now, but it's not because I haven't quite finished the last one. But I did read this. I don't have a huge amount to say on the Cade saga at the moment. I feel like I need to do another read of them. I do think they're interesting. Not to bog this down for people who don't care too much about the Edge Chronicles. I think it's because we don't get to see a new Age of Flight. This is the same Age of Flight as Immortals, and I already read Immortals, so that's my particular interest is not sated in this book. But I'm going to finish the third book, and then I will talk about the entire series in an upcoming video. Not quite chronological order, but while we're talking about Edge Chronicles, I did read The Stone Pilot. This is a World Book Day book, which is why it's so tiny and only cost £1 when you originally purchased it. I don't know if World Book Day is a thing. Well, I suppose it's World Book Day, so is it? I think other places, but they do a thing every year where they give school kids basically £1 book vouchers and then they sell a bunch of books for £1, so you can just have a little book. I've also seen them do £2.50 books. I know my copy of Fly By Night by Frances Hardinge was a £2.50 World Book Day book. This is one of those books. It's basically a short story covering the Stone Pilot, who is a quite familiar character to those who've read the Edge Chronicles. I like this. It's the only Edge Chronicles book where the protagonist is female. I'm just saying it. That puts it high up in my book. It's just a nice little short story. I expect it's bound up in one of the other books somewhere, but I don't personally own it anywhere else. I finished another novella for my novella project. I finished Alice Payne Arrives by Kate Hartland. I can't remember if I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Let's not worry about it too much. This is a kind of time-travelling book. We involve sort of the time police and then someone in the 1800s, 1700s. As you can tell, it didn't stick with me entirely. I did really like the reading experience of it. I thought it was a good story. I'm here for historical lesbianism anytime, but it didn't quite gel with me. A few of the elements, I was kind of like, why is this author writing on this? Which I think I'll talk about when I've read the second one and see how I feel about it then, because there is a sequel that I would like to pick up. But I haven't had any audiobook time. And the audiobook time that I did have, I dedicated to my reread of The Bone Shard Daughter, because I remembered that my wife had the audiobooks of both of the books in the series, and that I could just ask her nicely to log into her Audible account on my phone, and it worked wonderfully. I have no idea if I'm breaking terms and conditions. Nobody report me to Mr. Amazon, but I finished The Bone Shard Daughter and I really enjoyed it. This is one of my favourite books of all time. I've reread it multiple times. It's a great series, I hope, because we're going to come on to the third one soon. I had a great time with this reread. I've talked a lot about this book in the past, so I won't dwell too much. I've got a review video if you want to check it out. But yeah, adult fantasy in a world where the islands are falling beneath the sea and there's bone shard magic and it's all good. It's all good. Speaking of which, coming on to my currently reading, unfortunately I have since been logged out of that Audible account and my wife has gone away. So I'm back to physically reading The Bone Shard Emperor. I am this much left to read. This much left to read. There we go. I think I'm like 350 pages or so in. I'm going to finish this today. That's my main goal. I'm enjoying this reread. I'm not taking it in as much as I probably would be via audio, but honestly, I'm just trying to finish this so that I can, moving on to what I'm going to be reading next, so that I can read The Bone Shard War. This was very kindly sent to me by the lovely people at Orbit. Nobody's paying me to talk about this book. I'm so excited to have it in my hands. Annoyed that I didn't finish it before the release date, but you know what? It's fine. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to picking up Bone Shard War, finishing that series. That's my priority. My priority is finishing that. I think this is all going to end up being in a bit of a weird order because I had to adjust my spreadsheet to account for the fact that I didn't really read anything for 2 weeks. So if I wanted to catch up with myself on my reading schedule, bearing in mind it is Wednesday today, I would need to read 8 things by Sunday. I would need to finish 8 things by the end of Sunday. That's not unheard of for me. And a lot of them are rereads, but I think even for me, that is excessive. And that's with me having taken 2 books out. I decided I'm not reading Salvation's Fire and Cat and Fisher this month. It's not going to happen. Let me share with you the stretch goal. I'm aware this is unrealistic and I'm going to go for it anyway. So obviously going to try and finish the Edge Chronicles. I do think this will be a very quick read. The Edge Chronicles don't take too long to read. They're books written for children. I'm looking forward to finishing everything off and then coming up with some thoughts that I will share with you in the future. The Descenders, I will be reading it. Then, next in my priorities is my other review copies and books that I need to read in order to read review copies. I have The Sword Defiant by Gareth Hanrahan. Really excited to pick this up. It is 576 pages. I might sit with my Kindle and have a wonderful time with it. This one, I'm either going to love it or I'm going to know that I don't like it, and I'm going to know that quite early on. I think that's why I'm prioritising it. This is, I believe, a sort of a we've got to get the gang back together book, but the gang has sort of become a bit evil, is vaguely what I remember hearing about it. I have talked about this in a new releases video at some point. I then want to do a reread of The Final Strife so that I can read The Battle Drum. I will be putting the covers up for these, so hopefully you will know which ones I mean. I liked The Final Strife a lot. I don't remember too much about it now that I'm thinking about it, so I'm very glad that I have scheduled a reread, and I'm really hoping I can get to it. And if all of that happens, my rereads for Overbooked, I have the first 2 books in the This Mortal Coil series by Emily Sue Varda, which I have reread multiple times, so I think if I don't get to these, it's okay, but there's This Mortal Coil and This Cruel Design. This is a series that I reread during the pandemic, despite the fact that it is about a pandemic, which may have been a choice on my part, who's to say. But it involves a lot of gene hacking and a lot of technology. It's YA dystopia kind of thing. I haven't read that in a while. I'm interested. We'll find out how I feel about it on this reread. And I really want to try and get to a reread of Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. That's another upcoming Overbooked video. This is one of those series that I'm nervous to reread because if I don't love it, I've been recommending it to people for so long that it would be very awkward to have to go back on all of those things. But I think I'm going to read it with the mentality of 18-year-old Judith, who read these books and absolutely loved them and was like, yes, all of this is valid and makes sense, and try and suspend belief just a little bit on some of the bits that perhaps as a 28-year-old Judith I might have questions about my tastes. Maybe. It's absolutely fine. This was meant to be my rest week. It's not anymore. Don't worry about it. Looking into the week after, I have a reread of Tangleweed and Brine, which I've not read since the first time I read it. Looking forward to that. If I want to finish off that Emily Sue Varda series, there'll be the 3rd book, This Vicious Cure, which I have only read once. So looking forward to adding that to my having been reread pile. Tenses are hard. Days of Blood and Starlight, so that I can keep moving that Laini Taylor series on. I've had the Blood Trials on my TBR for a very, very long time. Maybe I'd like to get that ticked off. I do have an audiobook of that now, so I can hopefully get through that in a different format. And what I'll probably prioritise is my review copy of The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson, because I'm really excited to see what happens next in that series. In terms of books added to my TBR, I did buy this copy of The Descenders, so I'm counting that as added to my TBR. The Bone Shard War was already added because I had a digital review copy, but if you want to count that as being on there twice, that's now on there as well. And then I have 2 digital review copies that have been sent to me. One is for Mortal Follies by Alexis Hall. This sounded interesting. I now, on the other side of doing a lot of things, can't remember why I requested this, but I did, and that's what it looks like, and I'll be reading it at some point in the future. And then, most excitingly, I do have a review copy of He Who Drowned the World. This is the sequel to She Who Became the Sun, and I'm nervous and excited to read this. I do want to try and do a reread of She Who Became the Sun, but I'm not going to worry too much about it, because I think me trying to shovel these series rereads in is holding me back from actually finishing some of my new stuff. So it's nearly lunchtime, so we'll see how we go. New releases, I just want to touch on 2 things, neither of which I've read, which is a real bummer, but they're just things that are on my radar I'd really like to read at some point. I have The Thick and the Lean by Hannah Porter. This is from the same author as did The Seep, which I reread and very much enjoyed for Overbooked this year. And then also Emily Tesch's, what's it called? Some Desperate Glory. I loved Silver in the Wood so much that some of my favourite novellas, I think they were my favourite books of 2020, maybe? A year in the past. I've really wanted to read this full novel and I just haven't had a chance. I'm looking forward to it. There we go. While I'm here, while I'm getting my thoughts organised, I've got to write my Patreon newsletter for the last month, most of which is going to be, I did a LARP, but hey, that should be up for patrons by the time this is up, if you're interested in checking that out. I've got a whole bunch of organisation for some costume stuff I'm doing for something else later in the year that really needs doing. That can wait until after all my videos are edited. I have a bunch of videos to make. I'm really excited for reviewing some of the new releases I've been reading lately. I'd really like to get a video up for Bone Shard War, so I'm trying to focus my energies a little bit. And, you know, as an adult, I do have to clean the entire house, and that's just something that's going to have to happen as well. How about you? What have you been reading? What have you been up to? Do you have any top tips for getting out of not necessarily a reading slump, but just getting back into reading again? I would love to hear your advice for finding the time in the day when you've stopped being able to put that aside. Please do let me know down in the comments below. While you are commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also follow me on social media. Come hang out on Discord, where we have chill chats about books. I would like to say a phenomenally huge shout out to all of the ghosts who haunt me on Patreon. They support the channel and in return get early access to videos, bonus content, live streams, and more. I just want to say an extremely loud shout out to all of my patrons, because I had to buy new glasses last week, and that's the kind of thing that financially I would not be able to do without their support. So a huge thank you for giving me the ability to see. It is very, very helpful indeed. Reading books, quite difficult without a pair of glasses. So thank you to them, and thank you so much to you for watching. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one. It's gonna be some bloopers now. I need to slow down my talking. My brain is not working. My brain is not working at the pace that my mouth works at the moment, and that's not good. And then I do have a review, and then most excitingly I have a review copy of He Who Drowned the World, the daughter of, the sequel, the book daughter, the child of